So guys, it feels like a while since I've done one of these transfer rumour roundups, and since I did my last one, we've had quite a few big deals go through. We'll be talking about them today and touching on the recent transfer speculation that is going on around the league with only a week and a half until this championship season does get back underway. Things are really starting to heat up in the transfer market. As always, if you do go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like and get all your thoughts in the comments down below. But before we do hop into anything, a big shout out to our sponsors over at OneFootball. As always, you can find the new OneFootball app in the top line of the description down below. If you've not already, go ahead and check it out as we do head into this new football season. OneFootball is a really handy place to keep updated with everything going on. If you want live updates to your phone whenever a goal goes in, if you want transfer speculation and news going on around your club, also to look into some of the individual stats of some of the players that we're going to be talking about today, then OneFootball is a really handy place to have for all your football knowledge, so link down below. But without any further ado, let's start out by talking about some of the completed deals. So starting out with the big transfer story of the weekend, that saw Ivan Toney complete his move to Brentford. Now, the natural progression from Peterborough to Brentford, I think, is a good move overall for Toney. You know, Peterborough in League One play in a similar way to Brentford do. It's a high amount of chances created per game, and I think that he'll fit into this Brentford side fantastically. Looks to be that natural replacement to Ollie Watkins. We'll speak about his future a little bit later on in the video. But overall, I think that Brentford are getting a good deal here. 24 years old, he bagged 24 goals in League One last season, got 5 assists alongside that as well. Has all the attributes to make it as a top player in the Championship, I think. Strength, movement and finishing, with the deal being worth around £10 million overall. I think £5 million up front, and then with add-ons overall it will go up to £10 million. I think that with that fluid front three that Brentford like to play with, Ivan Toney could be a really good fit for them. I think he'll bag goals for them next season for fun. Another striker who's back in the Championship is Glenn Murray. He's completed a season-long loan moving to Watford. Now, this guy's guaranteed goals in the Championship. He may be 36 years old, but what a fantastic addition this could turn out to be. Last time he was in the Championship in the 16-17 season, scored 23 goals. I'd imagine would be used this time round as more of that super sub coming off the bench for the last sort of 20 minutes or so. If you get enough creative people who can run in behind around him, Glenn Murray can still be a very effective player at this level despite being 36, you know. Still holds the record for the most goals in the Championship season as well with 30. The only thing I'd say about Watford's strike force at the moment, that it seems to be a bit overloaded really. You'd imagine there's going to be a few departures in the next few weeks as Glenn Murray comes in as their 8th striker into that squad. Luton have been busy in the past few days. They completed the signing of James Bree. He's come over from Aston Villa this time round on a permanent basis. They had him on loan from last season in our video where we looked into where each Championship clubs need to improve. Fullback was definitely a position that Luton need to look into, and I think to get Bree back on a permanent basis will be a good thing moving forward. And they also completed the signing of Tom Lockyer coming from Charlton Athletic. In the relegation clause he had in his contract, if Charlton were relegated, which they went on to be, he was allowed to leave for a free this summer, so Luton picking him up on a free I think it's good business overall. I thought he had a fairly solid season with Charlton. Definitely started out the season well, tailed off a little bit towards the end, but he comes in and adds really good competition into that Luton back line, and for all circumstances on the free transfer, I think that's a good bit of business. Wickham have also been busy. They completed the deal for 19-year-old goalkeeper Curtis Anderson. He's joining on a 1-year deal, came up through the youth ranks at Manchester City. And they also completed the deal for Hibernian winger Daryl Horgan. Now, myself as an North End fan, I know quite a bit about Daryl Horgan from his time at Preston. I always thought he was a fairly decent Championship player. I was a little bit sad to see him go, really. The majority of his appearances at North End came off the bench as that impact sub. Got great pace, good dribbler as well. Sometimes the game could pass him by a little bit, but I think that's the case with most wingers at this level, really, isn't it? I think he's an impact player. For the last 20 or so minutes, Wickham have got a really good player there. And they also completed the deal for Hull defender Ryan Tafazoli, really good defender from his time at Peterborough. Last season at Hull didn't really get much of a chance in the first team. He only made 7 starts for them in the Championship, so I'm interested to see how he does this time around with Wickham. Coventry completed the signing of Nottingham Forest striker Tyler Walker. A lot to like about a player like Walker at a good age. In his last 2 seasons, he's had a couple of really successful loan spells. One at Mansfield where he scored 22 goals. Last season at Lincoln where he scored 14. Good turn of pace about him. Coventry are getting a good deal there. Rob Dickie has completed the move to Queen's Park Rangers. A lot of interest in the Oxford captain, and I'm really impressed with QPR getting this one over the line. It was an obvious position that they needed to strengthen this summer. Only 24 years old as well. He had 7 man of the match performances last season for Oxford. Superb bit of business by QPR there. Nottingham Forest managed to get the Luke Freeman deal over the line. We touched on this one in quite detail in the last transfer rumour around the video, but this one has now gone through. Really impressive bit of business, Luke Freeman. Easily one of the most exciting number 10s at this level. Birmingham completed the signing of Spanish goalkeeper Andreas Prieto. He comes over from Espanyol, where in the last few years of his career really hasn't played all too much football, but at 26 years old now, he's looking to make that step to break into a first team somewhere. Obviously, he comes in as that replacement for Lee Camp. I think that Birmingham is still in the market for another goalkeeper as well, but by all accounts he'll be given the chance at Birmingham this year, so I'm interested to see how he gets on and does. They've also completed the deal for Adam Clayton coming over on a free transfer. Aitor Karanka linking back up with him. They obviously got promoted together from their time at Middlesbrough. 31 years old. I think if you bring him in to sit in front of that back four, a lot of the time does the stuff that goes unnoticed. I think a solid addition. Sheffield Wednesday have brought in Kachunga on a free transfer. Interested to see how he gets on at Wednesday. Last season, I don't think he had a particularly great time with Huddersfield. He was mostly played on that right-hand side, 3 goals, 3 assists. Always gives it his all, but just wasn't quite the same player that Huddersfield had the first time round in the Championship. In that promotion squad, Kachunga that season was fantastic. 12 goals he scored for them that season. I'm interested to see what Wednesday's plans are with him, whether they intend to play him down the middle. Really good work ethic, but the composure just wasn't quite there last season. We'll see if Wednesday can rekindle that player that got Huddersfield promoted. But guys, those were some of the completed deals which have gone through in the past few days. Now, without any further ado, let's get into some transfer rumours. So I may as well start out with one transfer rumour which caught my eye from a couple of days ago. Tyler Roberts being linked with the move to Derby County. Obviously, if there's two clubs that you probably least expect to do a bit of business together, it is Leeds and Derby, with everything that's gone on between the two over the years. But a report came out in the Times linking Roberts to Pride Park. However, local reports in Derby have suggested that this may not be the case. I find it an interesting one nonetheless, though. Leeds fans, I'd be interested from you guys. What do you see happening with Tyler Roberts as you now head into the Premier League? The squad already is looking a little bit light in some areas, but with the investment coming into certain areas where you'd expect other players to come in, Tyler Roberts may find himself falling down the pecking order a little bit. So a loan out may not be the worst thing for his career. I don't know about you guys, but I really like Tyler Roberts. I think that his movement is absolutely exceptional. I think that Bielsa's worked wonders with him. It's just a shame about his injury record. You know, he missed a large chunk of last season with injuries, didn't he? But he had some fantastic appearances along the way. You know, that away match at Hull springs out as one of them. You know, the brace he got in that game last season. Very intelligent forward player, good link-up player, can either play up front or further back in midfield as that link-up man. He drops into areas well and creates space for others. But it's an interesting one with Roberts. I think that he could do a job for Leeds in the Premier League, not as a starter week in, week out, but certainly coming off the bench. Only 21 years old as well, so there's still a lot of potential there. I think that if Leeds were to make him available for a loan, I mean, there'll be a whole bunch of Championship clubs in for him. And then to a transfer which looks to have some momentum behind it, Matty Cash on his way to Aston Villa. Reportedly a £16 million fee has been agreed between the two clubs. Forest fans, I'm sure, will be absolutely gutted with this one, but they have got the fee they wanted for Matty Cash here. It was a wonderful season last time round for Cash, wasn't it, as he converted from a winger into the best, probably attacking fullback in the league. Aston Villa were getting an absolutely superb player on their hands then. You know, Forest, you can't really begrudge the player for wanting that move to the Premier League as well. For all parties, I don't think that anyone's coming out of this one getting ripped off, if you know what I mean. But I'm interested to see what Forest actually do with that 16 million. You know, are they gonna reinvest into another right back? Because they've already got two others at the club, haven't they? They've got Carl Jenkinson and Darikwa. I'm not sure how fit he actually is at the moment, but you'd imagine that that right back spot will be rotated between them two this season. But there's no doubt that Forest are losing a whole bunch of quality down that right hand side as Cash does depart. And by all accounts, at this moment in time, it is looking like Ollie Watkins' most likely destination will be towards Aston Villa. Now, with Brentford completing the signing of Ivan Toney, they were always going to want to get that replacement in first before letting Watkins go. They've gone ahead and done that. You'd think that that would start the chain of events. The fee being talked about at the moment around the 22 million mark. Fantastic season last time around, 26 goals all competitions, absolutely smashed there. Villa certainly in need of more firepower for next season, and Watkins gives them something a little bit different going forward. I'd like to see Villa in the Premier League getting back to the fundamentals of the way they were playing in the Championship a little bit more of a fluid forward line. In the second half of the season, Villa just seemed to lose their identity a little bit in the Premier League, didn't they? But if they get that back and supply Ollie Watkins with the chances, I think he'd fit in perfectly. The Benrahma speculation, though, is a little bit more spread out in terms of the clubs being linked. We've had quite a few of the top 6 being linked in the Premier League and a whole host of other Premier League clubs. West Ham being the latest one that I've seen being linked. It's looking as if Grady Diane is going to be making that move to West Brom, so they're in the market for another winger. The latest of the top 6 to be linked to him has been Arsenal as well. Benrahma probably going to cost you more than Ollie Watkins in that 25 to 30 million pound mark. In the Championship, players like Benrahma don't come round all too often. You get maybe 1-2 a season at most, really. He'd be a massive asset to anyone that signed him. Burnley are also still keeping tabs on Forest defender Joe Worrell. You'd imagine with them looking likely to lose Matty Cash, to lose Worrell as well, that'd take something out of that Forest backline, wouldn't it? The rumour is if they were to lose him, then Ben Gibson could be going the other way. There has been quite a bit of Championship interest in Ben Gibson so far, with Norwich and Middlesbrough also interested. David Nugent has been told by North End that he can leave in this transfer window, as Preston are looking to bring in the striker. We're going to have to let some people go before we do recruit anyone. Josh Ginnelly has just left on a loan deal. David Nugent, someone who's got 1 year left in his contract still, who we are looking to shift off the books. Northampton has been one club who he has reportedly spoke to already. I think the drop down to League 1 or 2 will be quite obvious at this stage for Nugent. Barnsley continuing to be linked with Doncaster captain Ben Whiteman. I think he'd be an absolutely excellent addition if they manage to get that one over the line. Imagine him and Alex Moe in the midfield together. They would be absolutely superb. Now, Whiteman has been one of the standout performers in League 1 for the past few seasons really with Doncaster. Myself as a Preston fan, he's always been one player who I've always kept a keen eye on. If Barnsley did go all in for him, that could be an excellent addition. And another holding midfielder who could be on the move, Swansea captain Matt Grimes has been linked with a move to Watford. Now, with Doucouré possibly departing, this could be the natural replacement. Now, Swansea I'm sure will be absolutely gutted to lose him. Last season, we just mentioned Wood Joe Worrell played every minute of every game for Forest last season. Matt Grimes was exactly the same for Swansea. No player had more tackles in the Championship last season than Grimes, 130. He also had more touches of the ball and more passes completed than anyone else in the league. So it's obvious to see why there is interest from a side like Watford who are looking to reshape their midfield coming into this season. As a really good, solid, combative midfielder, Matt Grimes is right up there in the Championship. Swansea fans, what would be the price tag you'd be looking for if you were to let Matt Grimes go? We mentioned it quite a few episodes ago, but it came out in the press that Neil Warnock was looking for a more experienced goalkeeper to add to the ranks at Middlesbrough. Marcus Bettinelli has been one name linked to Borough after falling down the pecking order at Fulham. It wouldn't surprise me to see him making a move back to the Championship. Got a couple of promotions on his CV now, obviously. Was displaced last season by Mark Rodak, who was absolutely outstanding. But in years gone by, Bettinelli has been a good goalkeeper in the Championship. At 28 years old now, I'm sure he wants to be playing as well, not sat on the bench. And Middlesbrough have also had a bid rejected for Charlton goalkeeper Dylan Phillips. Now, Phillips has only got 1 year left of his contract. I'm sure they're not going to want to have another repeat of the Lyle Taylor situation where the player was let go on a free. So if Phillips and Charlton can't come to terms with a new contract agreement, it's looking more than likely that he will be sold in this window. And there are multiple Championship clubs interested in the shot stopper. No goalkeeper made more saves in the Championship last season than Dylan Phillips. I thought he had an excellent year despite the amount of goals Charlton ended up conceding. Phillips couldn't really have done much about it. Brilliant acrobatical goalkeeper at a good age as well, 25 years old. That season in the Championship would have done him good, and he's only going to go on and get better. For a side like Borough, if they do go in with another offer, it could be a really good player. Josh Windass is on the verge of signing for Sheffield Wednesday. By all accounts, he's actually been at Hillsborough today to finalise this deal. They had him on loan for the second half of last season, and I thought it was a decent fit into that Wednesday squad. Things ended on a bit of a sour note with Wigan, but Wednesday seemed to reinvent himself a little bit in the Championship. He comes in as an option who can fill a couple of gaps for Wednesday, who are looking a little bit light going forward. You know, Jordan Rose, their only recognised striker at the moment, isn't he? But Windass can either play as that number 10 or a little bit further forward, looks to be someone who can get him behind. Liverpool centre-half Nathaniel Phillips has been linked with a move to Bristol City, with Liverpool reportedly willing to listen to loan and permanent offers. He's actually at the age of 23, so a lot older than I thought he was. Hasn't played all too much football throughout his career. Last season was out on loan at Stuttgart, where he had 19 league appearances, and apart from that, he's yet to play for the first team at Liverpool. And so a move to the Championship at this stage of his career does seem the most likely destination. Bristol City are also reportedly in talks with Chris Brunt to potentially bring him in on a free transfer, the 35-year-old who most recently played for West Brom. In that final season with West Brom, just made a few appearances off the bench in the Championship. I think you could tell that he was sort of past his best, which means you'd expect at 35 years old, wouldn't you? But I don't know, holding midfield's an area where Bristol City seem to be quite heavily stocked up in at the moment. Don't get me wrong, he'd bring a wealth of experience into that side, but in terms of what impact he could have on the pitch, I don't know. From what Bristol City have already got there, I don't know where he'd fit in really, but I may be wrong on that one. But guys, there you have it. There are some of the recent transfer rumours which are going around the Championship. As always, if you did see any that we didn't mention in today's video, then get them in the comments down below and we can have a bit of a discussion about them. But apart from that, guys, that will now wrap it up for today's video. So if you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like and stick around and subscribe for some regular Championship content. We're continuing to grow on the videos until the new season. But like I say, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.